everybody. We are back on the BCSC, another week of sports. Andy Bishop here with you, joined by Thomas Conroy and Brian Vilvin. Thomas, where's your state of mind heading into this week as compared to a week ago? A little bit better, I imagine.
I've never sat in front of my TV as much watching actual sporting events in a long time. I mean, it was crazy yesterday. I mean, I think I got carpal tunnel syndrome just turning the channel from MLB Network to Fox Sports San Diego to regular Fox Television FS1. There was so many games on, and it was so great to kind of check out to see like how each team was kind of making it entertaining for the viewers in their own ballpark. There was a lot of intriguing things that I saw that I kind of like, and I'm just glad that sports is back again, and especially baseball. I mean, you see it right now how much intense it is with these games. Just how each victory is really what is worth. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's fun to see the energy of the players. You feel it on the Twitterverse amongst the fans. Everybody's talking, and it's just fun to see it once again. We're going to talk mostly about the Padres here in this short episode. We're very excited after the Padres win 2 of the first 3 against the Diamondbacks to start the 60-game season. They'll play 1 more against the D-backs before heading on the road to San Francisco. Brian, how do you see this team today compared to your expectations just a few days ago on opening day?
Well, I said when we were talking the other day, I said the biggest thing I was waiting to see and kind of looking forward to in the Tingler era was the approach at the plate. And it completely exceeded any expectation anyone could have had. The Padres had an approach like they've never seen ever. Having 30 full counts over the first 2 games, and then today drawing 9 or 10 walks. Like, it's unbelievable how well these guys are getting on base. So that was the most exciting thing that I got from the first few games. Also, the fact that baseball's playing out kind of like the NFL does right now. Like, over the 3 games this weekend, I had all the euphoria of like we won an NFL game, and then today getting punched in the gut when we lose a game that, we felt like we should have won. The stakes are just so much higher in a 60-game season. So it's a new level of excitement that's never existed in baseball before, and I'm here for it.
But hey, if we would have done a baseball survivor league, the Padres would have been
right?
With the undefeated record for the longest. They had it for a couple hours before they ended up losing to the Diamondbacks 4-3. Thomas, what's your biggest takeaway so far after these first 3 games? There's so much that we could dive into, whether it's the starting pitching of Paddock, Lamet, and Richards, the bullpen, or again going back to a very sound offense that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm just going to take it. The pitching has been excellent, and we kind of highlighted that in our last podcast. But to me, the biggest takeaway I have thus far is the outfield defense of this team, and especially the way Grisham is playing center field. I mean, he is a force. He made a couple of catches that I was kind of like, wow. I thought the ball was going to bounce in the gap, and he came out of nowhere and really and played well. And he's kind of caught my eyes, because I had him projected actually as a right fielder and not a center fielder. But the one thing you're seeing real quick with this outfield is, and Myers included, along with Tommy Pham and Myers, is that they're fast and they're really athletic. And I can't remember since living here in San Diego, seeing this kind of athletic outfield for the Padres. I think it's going to be really hard. That you're going to have to really smoke a ball to get it in, to get it to the wall on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. Brian, we talked a whole lot about pitching in our preview of the season. Paddock, Lamet, Richards, all going at least 5. Paddock went 6. A combined, 18 Ks between them, and only 2 earned runs. how happy were you to see those efforts from all those guys?
I loved it. I think we talked about the bullpen being the best part about this staff and about this team in general. And so far, that's been the one area where there's some one of a couple areas where there's been a couple of questions. But I think the bullpen over the course of the 60 games will normalize and round itself out and still be the strength of this team. But that starting pitching, those first three guys are so good. You know you're going to get a quality outing each time. If they can find the strike zone, they're all throwing in the high 90s. Lamette touched 100 a few times. Even Garrett Richards was throwing, sitting at 96, 97. Paddock just throwing the heck out of the ball. Those guys, if you can get outings like that, you're going to win a ton of games, especially with this bullpen. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the rotation shapes up. Lucchesi getting the start in the finale. But, I've been super impressed with the starting pitching so far.
Yeah, the bullpen mostly strong. We did see a little bit of a hiccup in Sunday's game, unfortunately, as both Kirby Yates and Emilio Pagan, who we talked about a little bit as being a possible closer, somebody that could move into that role. They both give up 2 runs. But overall, I think going into the start of the season, we all have a very big smile on our faces given the limited action that we've seen. Going into the week, again, one more game against the Diamondbacks, and then going on the road against the Giants and then the Rockies after that for the remainder of the week. Thomas, is there anything you're looking at that this team can improve upon after the last 3 days?
To me right now, it's going to be, can you continue the way this approach at the plate on the road? I think that's going to be kind of the key right now, is continuing the same effort, but in a road atmosphere. And really, what does it entail to travel to San Francisco? Now we know it's in normal times that's a short flight from San Diego, but now with all the protocols, how long does it take you to actually get into your hotel, and what is a normal kind of time inside a hotel what's the protocol? Can you meet downstairs with some of your teammates? I mean, to me, that's what the kind of unknown factor is until after this road trip is what does it entail living on the road as a major league ball player? I think that's going to be the key is how quickly Jace Tingler and his staff can get his team back to their normal routine when they're on the road.
Yeah, that's a good point, Thomas. Well, we've already seen, at least on field, a lot of camaraderie between the guys, so that's been good to see. You got to think that points to my man, manager Jace Tingler. Brian, in watching the game so far, your initial thoughts on Tingler?
I think he's pushing all the right buttons. One thing today, he had a lot of faith early in Javi Guerra, brought him in a 1-run game. So he's clearly not afraid to throw guys out there who may not be as proven as other guys, but who can sling the baseball. Having a pinch runner come in and Cronenworth late for Hosmer when they needed to tie the game, I loved that. The pinch hitting of Greg Garcia at the right time, letting runners run. Tommy Pham with 4 stolen bases in the first 2 games, but just the approach at the plate. One of the question marks that we talked about was the second base position coming in, but so far Jurickson Profar has been awesome. He's had at least 3 occasions that I can remember where he had an 0-2 count and drew a walk. So to go from 0-2 to then taking a walk with the ridiculous strike zone that the umpires have had over the last few days, that just speaks to the approach that the manager has been pounding in on them. And we knew coming in that Jace Tingler was going to be all about on-base percentage, getting guys over, and they've been doing that like we've never seen before. So I think that's the biggest impact out there. All the buttons he's pushing are right. Yeah, you're going to need to get that number 32 jersey, Andy.
Hey, confession. I actually, before the season, like 3 weeks before the season started, I was at least in the process of shopping online for a Jace Tingler customized T-shirt. So I think that'll be my first step. I don't want to
Okay.
drop $250 on a jersey right away.
As long as you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, still thinking about it. Okay, yeah. So you mentioned we've been talking about the walks. I think I saw the Padres have 23 walks total in the first 3 games, which is outrageous. That leads any other team by I think 4. So that's been amazing to see. Thomas, I want to ask you. I know I kind of asked you already about an area we can improve. We talked an area of concern at the catcher position. Mejia got the start on opening day. We've seen a lot of Hedges after that. What are you thinking about the catcher position?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because I thought Paddock at times looked frustrated with Mejia behind the plate at times in certain situations, and then he just uses talents to kind of get out of tough situations against a batter, and that's a definite area. And boy, I just think we're just gonna have to live with it win this 60-game season because unless a catcher comes out of nowhere in the trade market and they can and it's and AJ Prella has shown that he's not afraid to make trades in this crazy season. He's already made 2. If he can find a catcher from another team, I think he's going to go for it. And but for right now, I think we have to live with the combination of Francisco Mejia and Austin Hedges. I think that's just is our life, and we'll just have to grin and bear it with it.
Yeah, so we go from that to one of the high points of interest, and what was good to see this series, and that's our first baseman Eric Hosmer, who we talked about, and I mean it's facts. He's historically had a little bit of trouble against lefties, but they start him opening day against Madison Bumgarner. He has 2 3-run doubles to give him 6 RBIs, and then he knocks one out of the park today. What are you seeing from him at the plate, Brian?
Well, he's hitting the baseball in the air, and he's hitting it hard. He crushed the ball against the 3 lefties 2 lefties, but 3 at-bats that he faced against lefties on opening night. And then today, again, driving the ball to the gap in right center over the fence. All 4 of the fly balls that he hit on opening day were right to the wall. That's something. He's a guy who always gets in trouble for hitting the ball into the ground, and just seeing him elevate and clearly having a different approach at the plate. If he can be a consistent power hitter like that, hitting to the gaps and putting the ball in play in the air in the middle of this lineup when guys are going to be on base, that's a huge thing for this team. He had a ton of RBIs last year, so we know that he can be clutch. And with more guys on base in front of him, I think this is going to be a big RBI year for Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the season for him. All right, guys, I know it's early. We're excited. Let's talk a little bit more about overall expectations. It seems, of course, every game matters more so this year than in previous years. The playoffs in each league expand from 5 teams to 8 teams. What are your guys' overall realistic expectations starting this week, Thomas?
It's so weird to say in a guy's first start, but I think for Joey Lucchesi, I think this is a big start for him tomorrow because, you have Kyle Quantrill on the roster, and he could possibly be that next option if he struggles a bit. I think tomorrow, I would almost guarantee that Quantrill will be the second man, as far as in the coming out of the first man out of the bullpen, but the second person on the mound for the Padres. And I think Jace Tingler is kind of just trying to open his eyes that your role on this team is kind of tenuous at best, and you're going to have to throw strikes and kind of keep this ball rolling in the right direction. So I hate saying on a guy's first start that it's a big start, but I'm going to do it. It's a big start for Joey Lucchesi, and I think his future in the rotation.
What about you, Brian? Are you more confident in this team just because of 3 games?
I am, yeah. To Thomas's point there with Lucchesi, this is a big start for him because the rotation continues to close up around him. Like the front three guys, as long as they're healthy, no one's going to supplant them. But then you've also got two of the best pitching prospects in baseball waiting in the wings in Mackenzie Gore and Luis Patino. So rotation spots are filling up and there's not a ton of space there. So Lucchese's got to be sharp. I think that actually helps he and Quantrill, Zach Davies, all these guys. They feel like they're pitching for their jobs every single time out. So I think that's going to keep them even more laser focused, and that'll be a strength for this team. And yeah, I mean, my expectations are out the freaking window, man. I have such high expectations for this team. Playoffs or bust. We have to make the playoffs. The top two teams in each division automatically qualify, and then the next two third-place teams. If we're not one of those top 8, then this season was a major disappointment. So, yeah, my expectations are sky high, especially after the first couple of games. I really wanted to win today. I put way too much into it, but yeah, go Pods.
Brian, I'm going to echo your sentiment. When I saw the moment that it was announced that 8 teams would make the playoffs in each league, I texted you guys and I said, if the Padres don't make the playoffs, I'm so confident they'll make the playoffs that if they don't, I'll wear a Giants or a Dodgers jersey on one of our podcasts, just because. Like you said, Brian, playoffs or bust. This team seems to be talented enough to get there, especially in a shortened season. One more question for you guys. This is just more general, but how is it for you to just have a team that is worth watching every day? We'll see how the season goes, but it looks realistically like that's going to be the case. My dad texted me after Saturday's game, after they had won 2 in a row. He's like, dang, they finally have a team that's worth watching. They haven't had this in the last 10 years, really, I believe, since the 2010 season where they almost made the playoffs. But how's it been for you guys watching the game, seeing the action amongst fans online? How's it been for you, Thomas?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's not that they're worth watching. It's players that I feel like are going to be, they have like a few players that are going to be like, when we have an all-star game, they're going to be there and playing in that game. I mean, it's just really high-level talent, and we've seen it in the past. We've seen kind of high-level talent that we thought coming up the ranks, and they just fizzle out at the major league level with the Padres. But they have legitimate talent, and I think that's why it would be so much better if we could get down there at Petco and watch these games, because it would be such an atmosphere. And to Brian's point, if they could get somewhat of a fan base in there, this town would go behind this team, and that stadium would be almost an advantage to this team for any team coming in. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, there are a lot of talents. We talk about a few of the holes, but overall, this is a quality team, and I agree with both of you guys. They don't make the playoffs, and then you really got to look at yourself in the mirror and ask what went wrong, because there's just too much talent, in my opinion, for them not to make to at least one of those 8 spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really fun team to watch. I think they're going to play long games. So MLB has gone out of their way to try to shorten games, and I've always been a fan of like, oh, you get to the yard and the game's over in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and the old Randy Jones formula. But these games are going to be 3.5, 4 hours because they're dragging out these at bats. But I'm actually finding myself rooting for a 3-2 count and rooting for that kind of stuff to happen. So I don't mind if a game is 4 hours if we're getting 20 guys on base and moving the action. Like I love having the opposing pitcher at 80 pitches in the 4th inning, and we pretty much did that to all 3 guys over the last 3 days. So if we can keep doing that, it's super exciting. And the fact that the season's only 60 games, like we've all been the kind of guys that will watch 140 out of 162, even for our teams that are 20 games below 500. But this team, that every single game is meaningful. The short sprint, it's the perfect team for that. And yeah, I mean, I haven't been this excited Probably since the Chargers were the San Diego Chargers and there were high expectations there, where you really feel like you could make some noise, that you should be in the playoffs every year, and that you can, get hot while you're there. And who knows what happens, man? Just get to the tournament.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys, it's been great talking. It's fun to be able to have a team. Again, like we said, it's fun to watch every night, and that we can always be talking about every couple of days. So it's going to be fun here on the BCSC. One final thing, it's prediction time, the thing that we do best, or at least try to do the most.
Lucas Glover.
We do it often, just maybe not well.
Sorry.
Dallas Cowboys? No, I'm kidding. Padres play one more against the Diamondbacks, 3-game set against the Giants, 3-game set against the Rockies. What will the Padres record be after 10 games? Brian.
7-3.
7-3. And Thomas?
8-2.
8-2. Okay, I'm gonna go 6-4. I'm happy with 6-4, but I'll take either of those.
So if Thomas had gone 6-4, would you have gone 8-2?
No. I had 6-4 in my mind.
Okay. Because I could have gone 8-2. I almost went 9-1, but I'll stick with 7-3.
Okay.
7-3 is me trying to be realistic.
Yeah, I hear
you guys know how I am, man. Come on.
Awesome. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. We'll definitely do it again soon. Thomas Conroy, Brian Bilvin, and I am Andy Bishop. We'll see you next time.